So he says, when I retired, people said, hey, he's got wealth, he's a man of position, let's have him be the mayor or whichever it is. The governor put me into the commission of the peace. The corporation of the city chose me one of the common council, and soon after alderman, and the citizens at large elected me a burgess to represent them in the assembly. This latter station was the more agreeable to me, as I grew at length tired with sitting there to hear the debates in which as clerk I could take no part, and which were often so uninteresting that I was induced to amuse myself with making magic squares or circles or anything to avoid weariness. He means little magic squares or circles, little mathematical puzzles and stuff you draw out. And I conceived my becoming a member would enlarge my power of doing good. I would not, however, insinuate that my ambition was not flattered by all these promotions. It certainly was, for considering my low beginnings, these were great things to me, and they were still more pleasing as being so many spontaneous testimonies of the public good opinion, and by me entirely unsolicited. You know, maybe we can take him at his word. Some people may question that, I don't know. It was thought by some of my friends that by my activity in these affairs I should offend that sect, and thereby lose my interest in the assembly of the province, where they formed a great majority. A young man who had likewise some friends in the assembly, and wished to succeed me as their clerk, acquainted me that it was decided to displace me at the next election, and he, through good will, advised me to resign as more consistent with my honor than being turned out. He said you wouldn't want to be defeated in the election, so just resign and let the guy have it. And he says that the guy said this through good will, not because it sounds kind of conniving, possibly as an ulterior guy had an ulterior motive, but Ben says it was through goodwill. Quote, my answer to him was that I had read or heard of some public men who made it a rule never to ask for an office and never to refuse one offered to him. Quote, I approve, said I, of this rule, and shall practice it with a small addition. I shall never ask, never refuse, nor ever resign an office. If they will have my office of clerk, to dispose of it to another, they shall take it from me. I will not, by giving it up, lose my right of some time or other making reprisal of my adversaries. I heard, however, no more of this, and again I was chosen again unanimously as clerk at the next election. We skip down just a bit. Indeed, I had some cause to believe that the defense of the country was not disagreeable to any of the Quakers, provided they were not required to assist in it. That's measly. They don't mind if you defend the country, just as long as they don't have to take part. But we're going to hear a little bit about that. That sounds strange, doesn't it? And I found that a much greater number of them than I could have imagined, though against offensive war, were clearly for the defensive. Many pamphlets pro and con were published on the subject, and some by good Quakers in favor of defense, which I believe convinced most of their young people. So it's a question for them whether or not they should defend themselves. And now their fire company, remember we saw that they organized into fire companies, agreed to have so many buckets and stuff amongst them. He says a transaction with their fire company gave him insight into the Quakers. He learned a little bit more about them. Quote, it had been proposed that we should encourage the scheme for building a battery by laying out the present stock, then about 60 pounds in tickers of the lottery. They're going to start construction of a battery, and they're going to take some capital and use it for a lottery to raise more capital. By our rules, no money could be disposed of till the next meeting after the proposal. They propose something like you have to sleep overnight before you make a purchase. The company consisted of 30 members, of whom 22 were Quakers. That gives you an idea of how many Quakers there were in some areas. And 8 only of other persuasions. Now, the 8 of us punctually attended the meetings, but though we thought some of the Quakers would join us, we were by no means sure of a majority. So they knew they had at least the 8 of them. Some of the Quakers didn't come, some of them did, but they weren't sure if they were going to be able to get a majority even so, because some of the Quakers might join them, but who knows. Only one Quaker, Mr. James Morris, appeared to oppose the measure. He expressed much sorrow that it had ever been proposed, as he said friends were all against it. It would create such discord as might break up the company. I'll just remind you that we're talking about building a battery down on the waterfront to help protect the city. He expressed much sorrow that it had ever been proposed, as he said friends were all against it, and it would create such discord as might break up the company. We told him that we saw no reason for that. We were the minority, and if friends were against the measure and outvoted us, we must and should, agreeably to the usage of all societies, submit. When the hour for business arrived, it was moved to put this to the vote. He allowed we might do it by the rule, but as he could assure us that a number of members intended to be present for the purpose of opposing it, it would be but candid to allow a little time for their appearing. So there's only one guy there who opposes it, and he says, please don't vote yet. I'm really sure there are some more Quakers who are coming who are going to oppose this. Please give them a little while longer to come. While we were disputing this, a waiter came to tell me that two gentlemen below desired to speak with me. I went down and found there two of our Quaker members. What's going on? So they're waiting for a couple of Quakers who are supposedly going to come and talk against this self-defense thing. Only one guy is there. Two Quakers come downstairs and call for Ben, and they bring Ben down. Quote, they told me that there were 8 of them assembled at a tavern just by, that they were determined to come and vote with us if there should be occasion. So they came and said, do you need any other votes? We've got 8 people who want to vote for the self-defense bill, which they hoped would not be the case, and desired we would not call for their assistance if we could do so without it, as their voting for such a measure might embroil them with their elders and friends. So we'll come and cast our votes as we need to, but if you can do without it, hopefully you won't call on us for this. Being thus secure of a majority, I went up. So he's like, okay, I see that there's no way where it's going to be outvoted. I went up, and after a little seeming hesitation, agreed to delay of another hour. So he's like, it doesn't matter one way or another. Even if these 2 or 3 people or 4 people he says are coming are going to come, it still doesn't matter. We've got it. 16 of us out of the 24 of us are going to vote for it. So allowing this extra hour, quote, Mr. Morris allowed that this to be extremely fair. Not one of his opposing friends appeared, at which he expressed great surprise, and at the expiration of the hour we carried the resolution 8-1. And as of the 22 Quakers, 8 were ready to vote with us, and 13 by their absence manifested that they were not inclined to oppose the measure. Wagner, by the way. I afterwards estimated the proportion of Quakers sincerely against defense as 1 to 21 only, for these were all regular members of the society, and in good reputation among them, and who had notice of what was proposed at that meeting. So, he says, when they're given a chance to defend themselves, the Quakers, measly-peasly as they are, will even try to defend themselves. The Honorable and Learned Mr. Logan, who had always been of that sect, wrote an address to them, declaring his approbation of defensive war, and supported his opinion by many strong arguments. I'm skipping down a bit here over an interesting little anecdote, but it will just save us a minute to skip. My being many years in the Assembly, a majority of which was constantly Quakers, gave me frequent opportunities of seeing the embarrassment given them by their principle against war whenever application was made to them by order of the Crown to grant aids for military purposes. So, the Crown comes to all societies, all churches and everything, and says, we're in war, we need extra taxes now, and most assemblies or whatever, you're obligated to do it. The Quakers, on the other hand, they were unwilling to offend government, on the one hand, by direct refusal, and their friends, the body of the Quakers, on the other hand, by compliance contrary to their principles, using a variety of evasions